Your customers got needs and they got expectations. And let's face it, we all do. Today, we're going to talk about right here in the Six Figure Mastermind how to address all of those and find out exactly what they are. You're in the right place. As an entrepreneur, you're dealing one-on-one with a lot of customers right out the gate. And those customers, because they came to you, they have expectations of what your product or service can do for them, how that product or service can improve their lives, and how they are going to plan on being better off because they had business with you. So how do you meet those expectations and how do you understand what they are? First of all, you're going to be very, very, very clear on what your product or service actually does for the customer and when that product or service will be fulfilled. Now, if you're not clear, you're letting the expectations run loose, and those expectations could be determined or misinterpreted in one of many separate ways that will really be detrimental to your business. So be very, very clear on what you're offering. Clarity is not the same thing as over-delivering. Let me tell you what I mean. I once had a contract that had about 20 different points on it of what my product was fulfilling on. I actually made a mistake in that contract because I had painted myself into a corner because I had delineated so much in the contract that either wasn't possible with the time frame we were given or wasn't deliverable based on what their service needs were. I painted myself into a corner and I couldn't get out of it without changing the contract. Don't be that guy. Don't make my mistake. What I would advise to you is be clear on your expectations, but also be flexible and allow yourself some time or space or energy or fulfillment to do what you know you can do. I'll give you an example. I was on a phone call with several clients. In fact, I had about 15 different clients that wanted to set up some time with me. And in my original thinking, I said, you know what? Each client takes about 15 minutes, so I'm going to schedule a half an hour for each client. That'll give me some breathing room in between. And that way I can fit, maybe 6 clients in one day. Their expectations were fulfilled because they got to have the conversation with me. But my expectations were suffering because I would block out a half an hour for a 15-minute conversation, and there I was spread out for the entire day on just 6 phone calls because I told my client to expect a call from me at a certain time. I gave the client an expectation to say, I'm calling you and we're going to chat at 6 o'clock. I will call you then. Now that expectation, although it was very, very clear, was actually limiting me as an entrepreneur because I had so much of my time taken up. So I changed the expectations into something that was still clear, but that we could both work with. So instead of saying, I'm going to call you at 6 o'clock, I will say, I will call you between the hours of 6 and 7 Mountain Time. Having that very clear expectation did a couple of things. It let them know when to expect my call, just as before, but now it was a window instead of a pinpoint. I also saved a ton of time because in those 6 phone calls throughout the day that I had scheduled at exact times, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, those times were taken up no matter if I had a client who answered the phone or if I had a client that missed the call. That means I couldn't start my call until my next pinpointed time. If I said, I will call you between 6 and 7, I can say I can fit 12 phone calls in. I can schedule 12 phone calls in that window because now I learned that they actually don't take 15 minutes. They take more like 5 minutes. And I know that some of them aren't going to answer the phone. So I can schedule 12 phone calls and I can tell my customers, I'm going to call you between this hour and this hour. I look forward to chatting with you and we're going to talk then. That allows me as an entrepreneur to have more flexibility with my time. I take up less of my day in appointments and I actually get more done in less time. Because as an entrepreneur, isn't time the most valuable thing we have? Use your time wisely by setting clear expectations for fulfillment with your customers. When you can deliver on clear expectations, their expectations are always met. Second thing you can do, send reminders. Be in constant contact with your clients and with your customers. If you have an appointment set up for one day, message them the day before. If you've ever had an appointment at a doctor's office or a dentist's office or anything like that, you will get a reminder email or call or text or something to remind you either 1 or 2 days before saying, hey, we have an appointment coming up Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We look forward to seeing you then. Even people that you hire, even if there's a repairman coming to your door and he's repairing your sink or your faucet or your toilet, or I don't know why it's all plumbing, but it's someone coming to your house to fix something, they're going to give you a window and then you know what to expect when they come. So having that reminder system system will remind your client of what to expect and how to interact with you. It also opens up the pathway of communication, which brings me to my third point. Be in constant contact with your client before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. A lot of times people will fall off the map after the sale has been made. The entrepreneur that isn't successful, this is one of the reasons why, is because after they get the sale, they will just drop off the map. Even if the product has been totally fulfilled, they won't reconnect with their client. They won't follow up with their client because the fortune is in the follow-up, but there's no need for follow-up if they've already transacted the sale, right? Wrong. That's totally wrong. You are working with people. You're not working with numbers. You're not working with spreadsheets. You are working with a person, and that person wants a connection with you. That person wants to be associated with you. That person wants to be the person that uncovers the veil that is obstructing you and your product. They want all of that torn away, and they want to get to know you. And you as an entrepreneur, get to know them. Be in constant contact with your clients so that if any expectations change, they are the first to know about it. For example, if you're a coach and let's say one day you're feeling ill and you're feeling sick and you can't show up to your meeting that day, or maybe there's some kind of emergency, be in constant contact. Reply promptly to the text messages. Be the instigator of your messaging system. Be the instigator of your emails or your posts or your messages, any communication that you have with your client. Be the first one to do it so that those expectations are clearly set. The best way, and here's a bonus for you, the number 4, the best way to maintain amazing expectations between you and your clients is to be personable. When your client forgets that they're doing business with you, you know you've succeeded in your business. When your client forgets that they've done a transaction with you or signed a contract and they just know that you're willing to go out of your way to make sure that their needs are taken care of, that's really why they want to do business with you. That's really why they're willing to exchange that value with you, because they know that you don't see a number, you don't see a document, you see a person. And as an entrepreneur, we've said it before, I'll say it again. You're a solutions provider. You want to exceed expectations. So set expectations that are clear. Set expectations that you can win at. Set expectations that your client can win at. And then do everything you can to go above and beyond. All right, now you know how to create expectations. You know how to create appropriate expectations. So leave me a comment below. Tell me how this is working for you. What's your favorite thing about your business? I will see you tomorrow.